Okay, it's still a hot day. This is hopefully the tail end of the fantastic heat wave we've been having in the UK, which has made every single one of us start complaining about the weather, which happens a lot in England. But never mind. One thing that will always be constant is nature. Nature will always exist, and because of that, I'm having a quick look at the Herbal Tarot today because I know that you like to see me talking about tarot. This is fun because it's got some lovely artwork. It's very evocative and it's got the names of different herbs on the top. Now if you wanted to, and if you were being really rather good, you would do a reading as normal, but also write down all of the herbs which is mentioned in it and look it up maybe in a good herbal book. And that could possibly provide you with a little bit more information. Now there was one card which turned up in the deck which had a herb mentioned on it, which this particular book did not have in it. So I attempted to do that experiment using this one particular book, and hey presto, the information I wanted wasn't actually there. So you might have to have like a whole pile of herbal books and go through each and every single one of them to try and find the answers. So I'm not going to do that today because the attempt to do that as a YouTube video failed miserably and was a waste of my friendly time. But what isn't a waste of my time is me sitting here before you right now with a pack of cards in front of me. Because you like that sort of thing, don't you? Yes, you do. So what am I going to do? Standard reading. Using the Herbal Tarot and just see what kind of message turns up and see whether you like it. Another one of my points in this one particular video is that my usual point, tarot is incredibly broad. And it has become this kind of like weird structured blank canvas upon which numerous people have applied numerous messages. Okay. So the artwork here, it's actually pretty good. It looks a little sketchy. It looks a little, color pepper-ish era. It looks that way. It feels like that. It's got that kind of like stuff going on with it. And you got other. This one is delightfully weird, though, isn't it? But let's start off with your standard Eight of Wands. Reading from the artwork, it'll be about strength, aspiration, trying to move further forward, caring for those who are around you, but also doing so with a bit of fun to it. That's why it's in the stave card, the stave suit. And the stave suit is important because that refers to sports and competition and that kind of stuff. The general artwork of the card itself, very green, very verdant, very alive, therefore there's a bit of an allusion to the possibility of good prosperity coming your way. Okay, but also functionality, usefulness, and the ability to build things up. I mean, the tree is made of wood. Historically, we use wood to make everything prior to the time when we stopped using wood and started to use plastic. Obviously, this is proof that we still use wood an awful lot, so if there's a mention of wood there, then it suggests to me something practical, something functional, something which can actually be good. Okay? Eight of Cups. A perception of life itself as a journey. That's why we got the boat there, which was often included in spiritual arts, talking about the journey of life. It appears to be going in that direction. Okay, so like up there around the corner. So it's going to a world which is unknown and unseen, and that's essentially the future. It's a future-looking card. So you got the stability, the practicality of that one particular card there, okay? You got the sense of aspiration, which is reflected here, but also that sense of going on a bit of a journey to nowhere, to find out where it goes, sort of thing. All right? So there's a sense of maybe some apprehension, but also some excitement, and also a sense you're taking your wisdom with you because you don't go on a sailing journey that long unless you're well prepared for it. So thinking about your preparations for the next stages of life will be really, really important to you. All right. Seven of Cups. It's all very celestial. It's all in the clouds, and it's supposed to be based upon juniper, which is obviously used to make gin, but also has its own healing properties in its own right, and I believe it has some digestive system properties too. If my memory serves me correctly, don't rely upon what I say. Look it up on the internet, look it up on a book. You're on the internet right now. You can open up a spare browser page, and you can quickly search for what juniper berries are good for. But from the card art, what we're looking at there is a touch of fantasy. We got a dragon, we got a sense of the theatrical, we got the theatrical mask there, and we assume that there's either a jester's house or another theatrical mask in that one there, but it's kind of like hidden. That one's got jewels and emeralds, but it's all in clouds, 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 clouds. So are these things which are being imagined within this reading fictional, fantastical things? Is it to do with your mind taking too much control and you need to rein your mind back in, rein in what your thoughts are, your feelings are, your moods, your intention towards what it is you're trying to achieve? Now, the other thing to mention is that these two turned up upside down. They are reversals. Therefore, the meaning is slightly skewed. So are you properly prepared? Do you know actually where you're going? Well, in this card, the audience, can't see where the ship is going. One can assume that the pilot has some kind of vision as to where he's going, but isn't quite sure as to what's round the corner. Whereas on here, okay, so there's a sense of aspiration but lack of knowledge, maybe a bit of foolhardiness, maybe the energy of the fool is the card of the tarot, of the major arcana, is part of what this is talking about, something new, but we don't know what. But when we had the Seven of Cups there, I think that there's a risk of delusion, a risk of what you are thinking is not necessarily right for what you're intending. And maybe there's a bit of a need to go back to something which is a bit more practical, stable, useful, as opposed to this next flight of fantasy. I mean, can you actually afford the promise of the future which the Ace of Cups is promising you? I mean, was it actually practical? Do you actually have the attributes to do what is required to achieve what is promised by that card? And what is it that's right and wrong with your adult little brain? I mean, are you experiencing too much entertainment? Is that affecting your perspectives? Are you being affected too much by previous relationship issues, the heart in the cup, and what that could be talking about? Are you actually in a total fantasy world? That's why we've got a dragon there. Or is that actually a symbol of defensiveness, and you're trying to defend to other people ideas that you've got which other people perceive as being delusional, but which might actually have some truth to them? Okay, so even with a simple 3-card spread, we can actually create quite a paragraph of quite intense information, intense storytelling, intense understanding, which is all there to help you to think through where you're at right now. There is a feeling of risk. There is a feeling of maintaining your clarity of mind properly, and a need to do that and to question yourself. But there's also a sense of what was actually true all along. Okay, what was really important then and why? And then going back to that attitude for whatever the true right journey would be, and whatever the true time of celebration would be, an aspiration of your dreams and your goals, in order to make everything work and work well for you in your life. So, what is solid? What is true? And in what ways are your emotions, your anger, your bitterness, your resentfulness, your confusion, your love and passion and obsession even, distracting you away from that which is appropriate to your prosperity, spelt with a lowercase letter p, namely your day-to-day life, and therefore, as a result of that, an extension of that, what is going to happen in your life next? Does any of this make any sense to you? And if so, then I would like to request, most humbly from the depths of my soul, that you rate with a thumbs up, you click the bell button and subscribe, and if you find anything even remotely useful here or interesting or beneficial, or you like me, or you like what I'm doing here, there's a comment in the comment section specifically for that, and it'll be written by you. The only other things that I would add is, if you really do value what I'm doing here, if you really value the work that I'm doing and the tarot readings I'm giving you and the perspective you're giving and that I'm giving you and the understanding I'm giving you, then there is of course the super thanks button, which you can click on at your leisure. And if you wanted to then request that I make a video on something as a result of that, then I'll be more than happy to. But it's a question of you being proactive and clicking on the super thanks button, making a small financial donation to the upkeep of Nick, and then we'll have more tarot readings coming, more delightful content, And instead of using this thing, more like a placemat, maybe I could dust the old girl off and speak to the dead. Precious, precious board of wood with letters printed on it really badly.